Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jamesville-DeWitt Central High School here in DeWitt, New York for the start of the 2022 girls lacrosse season. Hi everybody, Sam Gelfand here, the voice of the Red Rams, alongside my broadcast partner Nick DeCaney, and this should be a great way to start off the season. Central Square 2-0 so far. They beat Cazenovia and Rome Free Academy. JD, though, is yet to have a game. Do you think that experience difference could come in Central Square's favor?
Well, certainly when it's early season like this, being able to get a couple games in before another matchup like this where your opposing team has not played a game yet is great, especially for a young team such as Central Square. To be able to get a little bit of that chemistry going and some of that bonding early season is really important.
Central Square certainly is a young team. They only have a few seniors on the roster, believe it or not, but they're still certainly effective. I mean, the freshman Hannah Reichard has 7 goals already, so does the sophomore Milena Miller and the senior Emma Dempsey. Of course, that means their entire attack is going through pretty much 3 people.
Yeah, and those 3 people can light it up in a hurry if you don't cover them. But thankfully for Jamesville-DeWitt, they have a much more experience in a senior-heavy group. Lost a couple of key pieces from last season, but they're ready to come back and make another sectional run.
And that senior group is headlined by Kate Wilcox, the Winthrop commit, who put up 27 goals last season as well as 7 assists. And we're expecting a monstrous performance from her tonight.
Not only her, but a couple other ones. We talk about Teresa Grosso, Lauren Parker, Kate Barkley, just to name a few. So just a really stacked senior class, and look to them to really carry the load this season.
So the starting lineups should be over in just a moment, and we will rejoin you right before the start of this game. Don't go anywhere, but thank you so very much for joining us here live on JDTV. We are about to get underway here in DeWitt Thanks for sticking with us here live on JDTV. Sam Gelfand and Nick DeCaney on the call. Tyler Aitken manning the camera tonight. And while we were talking just before the break, Nick, about the differences between these teams, first of all, Central Square is actually a class above JD when it comes to lacrosse. They're Class B, JD is Class C. So they are considered a larger school, which usually will play in their favor.
Yeah, which is kind of uncharacteristic because you often see a lot of Central Square and Jamesville-DeWitt rivalries, just given that they're in the same class for so many other sports. We talk about track, basketball, all those other really key sports. But for whatever reason, lacrosse, when it comes time for lacrosse season, they're in different sections. So definitely does not help them that they have to play such a harder schedule.
And speaking of things that won't help, JD is about to play their first game with a brand new head coach. Stephanie Rice left last year, the former high school All-American, now replaced by her assistant, Megan Murphy. So this is her first test, her first time ever being a head coach.
And you really couldn't find a better person to fill that role, being assistant for so long. I've talked to a lot of the girls on this team. They love Coach Murphy, and they have a lot of support in her, and they're willing to give it their all for her and for this season.
And we are about ready for the opening draw. It'll be Emma Turo for Central Square and Kate Barclay.
The draw is so key in a sport like lacrosse. You can get possession every single time if you got a girl that knows how to play the draw. And oftentimes you will see a lot of penalties called afterwards on the draw just because they can't keep their sticks even or whatever it may be. And you see it right there already.
And we are underway already. And the clock has already been stopped. Like you were saying, looks like we got to redo it.
That's right. Didn't even get started. But again, just the experience of having a senior to be able to be your draw girl means so much and can do so much for your team.
And first possession goes to Central Square. That's Emma Dempsey.
Yeah, looking like JD already setting up in an early man type of defense. They're going to play within that 12-meter radius, aside from their midfielders, but their defenders really like to sit in there and just kind of wait and see what the offense is going to give them.
Meter, what are you, European?
Hey, that's how we measure it in lacrosse. Got the 8-meter, got the 12-meter. You got to get used to it.
This is America. Fair enough. Scientific.
You know, we should be in the metric system anyways, in my opinion.
Honestly, we probably should, but that would mean learning new things, and learning is hard.
Yeah, especially for this country.
Watch what you say. The JD with their first chance to go on attack now, and we're about to learn how well they do there.
Yeah, and it's the sophomore Brooke Bort taking control of this offense and getting the goal to start open this 2022 girls lacrosse season. Again, a lot of sophomore talent, but a lot of senior talent as well. You saw on display right there.
And Brooke Bort with the first goal of the season for the Red Rams. There you see it again.
Yeah, completely unassisted. Just took full advantage, saw the lane, and attacked it right down. And right off the bat, JD getting that momentum that they crucially needed to start this game. Lacrosse, a game of runs. And if you get yourself down, especially psychologically, it can really hurt you in that area.
Sports psychology is such an important aspect of the game.
I've been taking a psychology course. It's been inspiring, you know. I gotta bring it up in our commentary.
Clearly. Teams have evened up on faceoffs now. And the Red Rams back on the attack. And a good save there from the starting goalie.
Yeah, Central Sport got a little bit lucky there. Sydney Ballatin got burners for legs. She can bite you really quickly using her speed, but just a little off the mark there on that shot.
The Red Rams passing it around.
Yeah, just trying to slow play things here.
And clearly, it worked. There's Kate Wilcox with her first goal of the season.
But you can kind of just see them setting up their offense, waiting and waiting, just kind of really seeing what the defense is going to set up with, and once they see it, they strike.
They are very patient. It's not a quality that you often see in teams at this level. A lot of teams just want to go out there and play some smash mouth offense, get right on the attack, and they want to keep up that attack. But there's no point in attacking if you don't know whether or not you're going to be able to break through.
And that's just what makes JD Lacrosse such a powerhouse program for both boys and girls. Just excellent coaches with a lot of experience that know the really fine details of this game.
And JD takes yet another draw. Certainly one of the bonuses that both their boys and girls team are known for. Excellent draw and face-off play.
It's almost like an onside kick in football that you recover almost every time. It grants you possession and a fast break opportunity a lot of the time to get your offense going really fast.
And speed may not be what the Red Rams work with most of the time, but they can certainly turn on the burners when they need to. Some aggressive checking there from the Redhawks. And the referee's clearly not happy with it.
You know, I was talking with some of the players last night. When it comes to a stick check, and I'll update you more after this 8-meter shot. When it comes to a stick check, you cannot check on the side of the body. It has to be within only the stick itself. And you have to keep your pull almost vertical of sorts so that when you get horizontally, that's when you start getting called for those checks.
And I think it is important to note that just in this early going, we've seen an impressive performance from Danny Moran, the Central Square goalie so far. Certainly holding her own in the cage. And goalie work is something of a question for the Red Rams right now, considering Skylar Constantino graduated last year, and currently in the goal is a freshman, Lucy Kibe. Though I gotta say, if there's anyone on a lacrosse field who I would want to trust blindly, it would be someone with the last name Kibe.
Absolutely a storied success here of the Kibes at Jamesville-DeWitt, especially in the lacrosse aspect. We're talking about Johnny Kibe now at Yale, an All-American for the boys team, and just one of those key pieces that led them to that sectional run. But obviously, when you look at this returning team, a lot of the eyes are going to point to that goalie position and how can Kibe step into those shoes. And they're not asking her to do the same things as Constantino, but to be able to give solid goalie play, and especially as a freshman, it's going to be really crucial.
So let's take a look at how these two teams did last season. The Red Rams finished 11-6. They did win the sectional championship as well. 9-8 were the Redhawks. You can think of that rating kind of like a Madden rating, where your best teams are going to be around a 95. The Red Rams were at an 84.8. The Redhawks a 74.5. That's the strength of schedule underneath, which means how good the teams were that they played. Both kept it pretty close, but the Redhawks actually played better teams on average than themselves, which makes a 9-8 record all the more impressive.
And which also makes sense when we talk about the classes, right? And Central Square being up a class from JD, going to play a lot of those bigger, more dominant lacrosse schools.
The Red Rams also had a positive goal differential. The Redhawks did not.
And for the Red Rams, what a season that was. Kind of a roller coaster in terms of success.
And speaking of a roller coaster emotions here, there was a big hit on Kate Barclay.
A big hit, but it benefits her. She'll get another 8-meter opportunity here with a chance to strike.
And it's off to the right. Red Rams taking it round the X. They may have another chance to try again. And guess who dumps it in? Sydney Ballatin.
And I told you got to watch out for her speed. She's so quick off the line, but a nice kind of dip inside move, splits the double team, and fires a beautiful shot top left corner.
Ballatin scored 15 goals last season along with 9 assists, making her one of the more well-rounded and team players on the squad, and that's her first today.
Not only that, also committed to the University of New England to go play soccer as well. So just an extremely well-rounded athlete in all aspects.
You do see a lot of soccer players who do play lacrosse as well for the similar running, which is involved. Lauren Parker comes to mind, who's currently on defense. Lindsay Hildreth as well, both soccer players.
And you mentioned that running factor. Oftentimes, it's the girls' lacrosse teams that end up doing a lot more of the running from the boys, just given that their field is wider, their goals are a little bit pushed further back, and both the defense and the offense can, defense and attackers can go further on their own respective sides.
And now JD back on the attack. Should mention that sometimes a junior varsity game before this can be a good indicator of how the varsity game goes, and JV kind of blew out Central Square. So a decent stop there from Danny Moran.
And a good stop it was, but Central Square just cannot seem to keep the pressure off of their own goalie. They got to find a way to get a turnover of some sorts and get the ball rolling back in their play.
They've only been on offense once or twice in these early goings.
And that's what can be so demoralizing about a sport like lacrosse. If you're able to just dominate that time of possession, which again goes back to having a good girl on the draw, and you're just able to hold the ball really for almost the entire game, it just gives such little opportunity for your opponent to even find any sort of groove offensively.
And another 8-meter shot is not converted on by the Red Rams, and that may be something they're going to need to fix as this season goes on.
And certainly just trying to find your footing in these early goings, this early season, and especially for them being their first game. But 8 meters are crucial, and you've got to be able to capitalize, especially in clutch situations. I wouldn't say it's quite like a free throw in basketball, but it's pretty close in terms of you're given that opportunity and it's up to you to convert.
I'd say it's a bit closer to a penalty kick from soccer.
But just in terms, you don't see this many penalty kicks in soccer.
No, that's true. That's true. Or penalty shots in hockey, for instance.
That would be kind of sick, though. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, honestly. Also, I think in soccer you should be able to pull the goalie like you can in hockey. Losing control of the ball there was Brooke Bort, and there finally is a turnover for Central Square.
But again, look at all of the white jerseys you see on that Central Square midfielder just swarming to the ball.
Yeah, Emma Dempsey didn't have much of a chance. However, here could be a scoring chance. Not much that Peyton Webb can do, though. And the Red Rams defense forming up, like you said, playing a man-to-man game.
And you can really see they're all kind of bunched within that 12-meter radius. Tough to really analyze from out here, but I'll try and give you an accurate representation. This blue line on the outside here, they have to play within that space. Goes all the way around to the sides of the corner, basically almost like a pyramid. Not quite a pyramid, but a peripheral type of shape. And a lot of times you'll see teams...
Semicircle?
Yeah, something like that. You'll see teams just kind of hang around in that area and make it really condensed.
Well, if we're talking about shapes, you can't miss the kind of shape the Red Rams defense is in, and it's certainly a good one.
Yeah, and they've got some studs on that side. We talked about Teresa Grosso, a Lemoyne commit for lacrosse, Lauren Parker as well, using a little bit of that soccer experience. And again, some more youth as well with the combined senior leadership. Riley Marker, a sophomore. It looks like might be Nikki Melidi out there on the defense as well.
Losing control of the ball is the Redhawks and quickly picked up by the Red Rams. And we're seeing Peyton Webb try to run some offense out there for Central Square. She does not have a goal to her name yet this season, hoping to change that fact. Right here, coming around the side of the X, a save by Kaib.
And nice alertiveness there from Kaib to see that come and wrap around and be prepared and ready to defend.
Of course, Johnny Kaib was never a goalie, but you have to wonder if he somehow was able to give his little sister some tips.
Oh, I'm sure he's got plenty of really good insight for her.
Is usually used to beating goalies, although I suppose that's valuable insight for a goalie anyway. Is, hey, what can be done to beat me? How can I form up on that?
And especially as a little sibling, if you have to go against an All-American every day when you're just shooting around at home, the amount of experience and how much better that's going to make you is invaluable.
You think LeBron lets his kids score on him?
Oh, no, absolutely not. And especially because they're a little bit older now, too. He wants them to work, and he's going to teach them everything he has. So I'm sure Johnny Kibe is doing much of the same.
So, in other words, I feel for Lucy Kibe right now.
Yes, I'm sure she's gotten destroyed by him a couple of times.
And now the Red Rams looking to make their mark on attack right now, using a little bit more X-play than they had in the earliest goings of this game. And the referees take exception with the check, and we may have another 8-meter shot.
Yeah, this will be Lindsay Hildreth coming in from that left side.
Hildreth second most on the team with returning goals, 20 last season. And put one to her name.
And you see why right there. She's one of the leading goal scorer returners for the Red Rams. She does it all. Midfield, especially on the offensive side. She plays so well. A great patience on that attack and just finding her spot.
And Lindsay Hildreth continues to break open this game. It's 4-0 now. The Red Rams can't get too comfortable in this early going, though.
And if there's any team to know about comfortableness, it would be the Red Rams. Such a roller coaster season. We were beginning to kind of talk about this earlier, but they started off their season 0-4, which is really unprecedented for a Jamesville-DeWitt lacrosse team. And they lost to Fulton twice within the regular season. And when they find that matchup again against Fulton in the sectional finals, you know, a lot of people were counting them out, but they were able to convert and figure it out and turn the tide in that championship game and come home with the sectional win.
The Red Rams also faced some really tough opponents in the early goings of the 2021 season, though. They did take on FM early in the season as well as CBA. And Fulton, of course, was a killer team last season.
And I'm sure if you ask some of the players, they look back at those games, and that's what kind of strengthened them as a team. Those tough losses are really what makes you evaluate, okay, what do we got to do as a team to get better, and how do we avoid this in the future?
Now here's Milena Miller, who was able to dump it in for the first goal for Central Square.
Yeah, well-executed shot here. Just kind of goes almost underhand and sneaks that one by Kibe to get the Redhawks on the board.
So at least it won't be a shutout. You can take solace in that if you're a Central Square player. And like we just said, comfort is killer.
That's right. And this is far from over. We're just getting started in this one, and a good kind of motivation and confidence booster there for Central Square.
We're only about 1/4 of the way through the game. Of course, girls lacrosse operates on halves rather than quarters. A rough draw, and Central Square comes up the better of it.
Yeah, surprised nothing was called there, but the ref's just kind of letting them play, and it goes in the Redhawks' favor.
And now the Red Rams trying to take it the length of the field, though looks like an official will put a stop to that.
And that's the thing about lacrosse. Once they call something, it's very quick when they get right back into that field of play. As you see Riley Marker here, the defender, kind of taking things up.
Got to be cautious not to go off sides.
Yeah, and offsides, especially within lacrosse, is a very unique kind of penalty. You got to have a well-communicative team and one that is really frequent with their discussion on the field.
Superman shot, but Danny Moran is invincible. Take another look at this shot, though.
Yeah, it was Macy Durkin trying to kind of wrap it around the top half of her shoulder and go over the top, but unable to convert on that trip.
The Durkin dynasty also one of the more productive ones when it comes to generating lacrosse players. Connor Durkin was an absolute stud.
And we've got a lot of dynasties really within this Jamesville-DeWitt athletic program, and especially on the lacrosse team as well.
So now here's Moran trying to get the ball out of trouble. That's Kate Wilcox who is causing that trouble. Certainly good to be a pesky player as McCrory is able to break past midfield, pass it forward. That's Hannah Reichard. Reichard swims left. Has to backpedal momentarily. Pass back to Reichard.
And that's the thing about lacrosse is that there is no shot clock for you on offense. So if you're trying to get inside and there's too many players in there, too many defenders, you don't like what you see, you can always have that option to reset and just basically restart your offense.
Of course, stop and go can kill momentum, and that's another thing that these teams do have to worry about. As there's a scrum now for the ball. Recovered by JD. I believe that's Lainey Bort.
But you can already tell that this JD team is so comfortable within each of their respective positions. Just running that field so well, the spacing is really consistent.
And you know, when it comes to resetting an offense, there's one thing that JD does a lot more than just about any other team, and that is pass it around. Even when the Red Rams are resetting, they don't keep the ball still. And a good save by Danny Moran.
Yeah, but that ball movement is so key, especially when you're so spread out like this. It's like basketball, right? And when you have a bunch of threats that you know can score, sure, give it to any one of them. Somebody will be open eventually.
And you know, I just have to highlight this goalie play of Danny Moran because, frankly, coming into this game, I had some questions. She made 8 saves but allowed 14 goals in the previous 2 games, but she has looked very good in the goal today.
Yeah, not only that, but very poised within that goal, kind of eyeing down some of those attackers, coming right down Main Street, and she's not afraid to get right in their face, and has done an excellent job here tonight.
Moran is a senior. Have to imagine with play like this, she might go on to play in college. As Hildreth tries to find some room inside. However, looks like it's turned over. No, Red Rams get it back. And another save by Moran. Some desperate play, but it works out.
Yeah, and that save in particular was spectacular. Had someone coming right down the lane, unguarded completely. And when you have a goalie of that caliber, it really can give you an edge defensively.
Now the Redhawks cannot go the length of the field, but that's fine. Let's use the moment to take another look at that save.
So you can see, yeah, Macy Durkin completely unguarded, coming in within that 8-meter spot. But Moran was just more than ready for it.
Now Milena Miller will take her second 8-meter shot. Slings it to her right and scores!
Yeah, now 2 for 2 on their 8-meter shots, which has been the difference so far. They're kind of chipping into this JD lead piece by piece.
Miller with 2 goals on the game now.
Yeah, already adding to her impressive 7 since starting the season. It's now up to 9 total within 3 games.
On March 31st, the Redhawks beat Cazenovia 10-5. Then just last night, they played RFA and beat them 13-9.
That's tough. A doubleheader for lacrosse. You don't see that very often.
Yeah, back-to-back days.
And not only that, but also back-to-back away games, I'm assuming. Maybe not, but
even so, Central Square is far enough from DeWitt that it's essentially 2 away games.
Yeah. Wow. Morin is just putting on a show right now. Again, Hildreth had an open crease to the goal. No one on her, but one-on-one, Morin is more than ready to take that.
Danny Moran is really impressing tonight. This may be something of a breakout performance for her.
And she's really been the X factor so far. They could have had 4 or 5 more goals if it weren't for her excellent play.
Although this turnover could come back to haunt her. Red Rams hoping for something of a one-timer. Good dodging, and that goes off the side of the net.
You almost made one too many moves there on offense. At some point, you just got to set your feet and take a shot at it.
Can't get too fancy. Got to learn to walk before you can run.
Are we going to see more philosopher Gelfand this spring season?
Oh, plenty. As Kate Wilcox continues to be a net Nostradamus.
I don't even know what you just said, but it sounded really fancy, and I think it categorizes Kate Wilcox really well.
Well, Nostradamus wasn't quite a philosopher. He was that guy who made all those predictions in the Middle Ages, forward thinking.
I see. Okay.
So Wilcox is a net Nostradamus. If she predicts a goal, she's going to get it.
Yeah. Looked like she predicted it on that one. Just took full advantage, and whatever she wanted, she's got.
Into the game for the Red Rams, number 10, Maris Kessler.
Maris Kessler checking into the game now.
Another Kessler. They just seem to be... they keep popping up out of nowhere.
Well, Everly Kessler was the #1 scorer for the Red Rams last season. What was it, 57 goals, something like that?
And then you look on the boys' side, you have Gannon Kessler,
who is also leading the team in goals.
Some family dynasties here within the Jamesville-DeWitt program.
You'd start calling the trip to the goal the Kessler run.
I like that. In less than 12 parsecs.
Which, actually caused George Lucas some issues because parsecs are a measure of distance, not time.
I see, huh? I never knew that.
So they had to, because I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, I will admit that. They had to...
No, there's no shame. No shame.
They had to reframe it as saying, well, the Kessel Run takes you by black holes, so if you get close enough to the black hole, it physically shortens the distance. So it's like a measure of, like, Han Solo being a really dangerous pilot, one willing to take risks. And Kate Wilcox has a hat trick already.
And this is just what she does. She's so comfortable on that offense. Just finds the spots within that zone and is able to strike within a moment's notice. And just like that, what was a 2-point game now is back to a 4-point lead.
Also, that was Macy Durkin's first career assist at the varsity level. So as I was saying, Star Wars.
That's right.
So they had to reframe the whole thing as being like, well, it means that Han Solo is like such a reckless daredevil that he's willing to fly close to black holes to shorten the distance on the Kessel Run.
I see.
So that's how they kind of reframed the whole thing. And there are some books where Han Solo brags about, like, making the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, and people are like, that means distance, not time, right?
I think that fits his personality pretty well, though.
It does, yeah.
And look at how many white jerseys. Oh, my goodness.
Like stormtroopers.
Pretty much. We could go on and on with the Star Wars references. But that is too physical, and they did get called for a check.
In other words, they use too much force?
Man, all right. We're just going to keep going.
I will keep going as long as you let me.
There ain't much to do. I can stop you, so.
Yeah, after all, you got to do or do not. There is no try.
I'm walking right into these, aren't I? I don't even see it coming. And don't come up with some clever response to that, too. I was worried for a second. You were thinking about it, weren't you?
I was.
I could tell.
You could see the cogs turning.
I could sense it.
You felt a great disturbance in the force.
That's right. Well, right now there is no disturbance in this Jamesville-DeWitt defense. They are just locking up whatever Central Square is trying to give them.
Completely unbothered.
But again, just nothing. Moving their feet really well, staying on their man, and you can see it right now. There's absolutely no room to operate.
Hannah Reichert being forced out of the crease repeatedly, finally checked too hard.
And you can see she's frustrated with it. They're playing so well that there's nothing for her to really set up. No teammates open to pass to. Luckily, she will get an 8-meter opportunity here. They're 2 for 2 so far. Can they make it 3 for 3?
Well, you know, it is a running thread with many sports as Reichert sets up and fires and scores.
Central Square goal by number 1, Hannah Reichert.
And right now, it's their ability to convert on these 8 meters that have kept them in this one. JD got to find a way to kind of give her a check or give her some type of bump before she's able to get to that goal.
Because the thing is that it's a running thread through many sports that the best teams tend to be the ones who are the least afraid of being aggressive when it comes to defensive play. But these are the trade-offs that you make, especially in a sport like girls lacrosse, where being aggressive does give you these 8-meter opportunities, but it does prevent other opportunities that are not set up by a penalty.
Yeah, and it's a really fine line you have to kind of tiptoe around to avoid being, like you said, too aggressive where you give up too many opportunities, but not aggressive enough where your team just thinks that they can do whatever they want.
You see it in many sports, whether it be soccer, basketball. Aggressive defenses win ball games.
That was pretty much the staple of our boys' basketball season, which is aggressive and pesky defense, which this girls lacrosse team is embodying right now.
Although it does seem like the momentum may finally be swinging in the favor of the Redhawks, as they have strung a few offensive appearances together now.
Yeah, and because they're winning on the draws, they're dominating the time of possession within these maybe last 5 minutes or so. But JD has been playing well defensively, but you got to find a way to not, like we were talking about, not check them. And especially because there's no shot clock. They can go for as long as they want.
And that check looked maybe not quite the cleanest.
Yeah, and they'll have another 8-meter opportunity. So it's all happening within that 8 meters. When you commit a penalty within there, that's what grants these type of chances.
And these are she left too early. And that's a way to blow that type of opportunity. But these are the things that do frustrate freshman goalies. Or opportunities like this. You need experience to really be adept at shutting down those 8-meter opportunities, and having someone so young in the net has been hurting the Red Rams so far.
Man, and I'm trying to picture myself as a freshman in high school, be competing on a varsity sport. There's so much else that you're thinking about that some of these older athletes don't quite have to worry about.
And the Red Rams don't have to worry about giving up goals when they know they can get them back pretty much immediately.
Goal by number 2, Kate Wilcox, unassisted.
Number 4 for Kate Wilcox.
Yeah, she's putting on an absolute clinic here in their home opener and season opener as well.
Sadie Withers.
And Sadie Withers also with her first career assist. She's also a freshman.
Again, so you kind of have a really nice balance of senior leadership and really young, upcoming talent on this team, and I think that's going to do really good things for this program.
There's a lot of sophomores on this Red Rams squad, but Central Square only has 5 or 6 seniors total. So it's an even younger program.
I mean, and you look at their bench as well. It looks like they only have maybe 3 or 4 athletes on that bench, so these players are playing a lot of minutes and very limited substitutions.
Only 2 minutes remain in the first half. And, of course, this begs the question of halftime adjustments. What are these two teams going to need to do? Red Rams to grow that lead, Central Square to make it a little closer. Well, I'll tell you one thing that Central Square is going to have to do.
By number 10, Maris.
They cannot allow Maris Kessler to get shots off like that.
Yeah, and again, just another sophomore proving their worth on this team.
Freshman.
Freshman, excuse me. Just wrapping around and finding the opening. And to be able to have that type of vision, especially being that young, is a great, great factor.
And you know, while we're making comparisons between the boys and girls teams for JD, the JD boys team likes to run a lot of their offense from behind the cage and then kind of get those wraparound shots. The Red Rams girls team, not as afraid to take shots from the very front.
No, and they're really kind of set up their offense from in front of the cage as well. Well, they'll just kind of take their time, and it does allow you to give a little more vision in terms of setting up everyone. Obviously been very effective here tonight.
But take nothing away from the Redhawks, who have been providing plenty of competition. And it has been the goalie, Danny Moran, who has kept the game this close.
Yeah, and you talk about halftime adjustments. They got to find a way to score that's not an 8-meter shot, which has been proven so tough to do so far. But whether that's sending an extra man down on offense, something like that, you have to figure out a way to find some opening within this offense. Because at some point, they'll end up stop fouling you to guarantee that you don't get that type of shot.
And finally, the Redhawks find a way to score that is not an 8-meter shot. It's Milena Miller, her third of the day.
And it's as if she was listening to me talk about their halftime adjustments right now. She says, I'll go ahead and take care of this myself. And man, what an electric goal and a good spark that they need to go into this halftime break.
They don't happen to have any devices on the sidelines, do they?
I hope not. No banging on trash cans or something.
Yeah, actually, it's banned by NFHS rules. You cannot have smart devices on sidelines for the express purpose of making sure no one's listening in on anyone's conversations, reporting anything they shouldn't have.
That's smart. Especially with today, there's so much technology and stuff that you can hide so easily.
Like trash cans.
Trash cans were not the one that came to mind, but yeah, I guess so.
Well, you ever seen like one of those tiny little office trash cans? You can hide that pretty easily.
I guess you could.
1 minute remains in the first half. Now here's a max play from the Red Rams.
And we'll probably see them slow down their tempo here, just given that there's not a lot of time left. Probably want to hold it until that last shot.
That's 40 seconds to kill. It's not the easiest to do.
We talk about a sport like lacrosse, you can really just back up and see how far your defender will go with you and just kind of hang out and hold that ball.
Why would they need to hold it when they can just keep scoring? Putting up one more. Putting up one more before the halftime break.
Yeah, and this is now Kate Barkley getting a little piece of the action, saying she wants to eat as well. Going almost from outside of that 8-meter spot, really in the top section, and just letting them fly.
She had an even number of goals and assists last year. 12 and 12. Now it is 9-4.
But you've got to honor really the effort that both of these teams are giving. Whenever one is able to score, the other one comes right back down with something of their own.
And will anything happen now with 6 seconds left?
No, it looks like they'll
Probably
probably just hold it until halftime. And a great half they've played so far. But a few things they need to work on really for both teams to be able to come back in the second half.
And after one half of action, the Red Rams leading 9-4 over the Central Square Redhawks. It has been a close contest. Some excellent goalie work from Danny Moran. Kate Wilcox with 4 goals already for JD. Milena Miller with 3 for Central Square. And only one way to find out who will eventually take this game, and that's by sticking with us here on JD TV. We'll be back in 10 minutes. We'll see you then. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to DeWitt, New York for the second half of this contest between the Central Square Redhawks and the Jamesville-DeWitt Red Rams. Sam Gelfand, the voice of the Red Rams, here alongside Nick DeCaney.
Quick question. Are you streaming online?
Yeah, YouTube.
It is YouTube?
Yes.
So the same channel that you're saying?
And we are underway now.
Will you be usually doing the games?
And the Red Rams take the draw as yet another person attempts to ask us whether or not we are live on the air while we are live on the air.
You know, it's a common syndrome here with the fans. And it's, you know, I'll give them a little bit of credit. It's tough, but it's always the timing is just impeccable.
Always. But, you know, that's why, like, you know, movie sets, they have closed sets so that people can't wander on and do that. Hey, are you guys making a movie?
Yeah, but we got a wide open window right here, so anybody
Yeah.
can just walk up as they please, so.
No window there for the Red Rams, though, as that shot went sailing over the net.
Yeah, and already JD looking to do much of the same, and that's dominate the time of possession. Kate Barkley's been really solid and sturdy on those draws tonight. And they can just kind of set up and run offense as they please.
And the Red Rams being patient right now, passing it around. That's Ballatin controlling right now, stutter stepping, spinning. Gets knocked down, and the Red Hawks take advantage of her misfortunate predicament.
And I will be clowning her for that in the near future.
Trying to see if there's something between clown and Ballatin, but it doesn't really work. Clownatin?
No,
No.
not quite.
No. Bozotin?
Yeah, if you wanna make that stretch, you can.
We've been doing this
She
long.
she just lost her footing on that one, but it happened a couple times.
We've been doing this long enough that you should know I will make that stretch.
Yeah.
10 times out of 10.
Oh man.
Oh, man.
It was Brooke Bort that hit the turf, but popped right back up.
Good tenacity. The clock has stopped as we're
Yeah.
going to have a quick injury timeout.
And something interesting here, they all drop their sticks as they come back to the huddle. I'm not sure if that's just a routine thing. I know in college when you score a goal, you have to set your stick down so that the official can check the pocket to make sure that it's regulated, but I'm not sure. I guess that's just a force of habit.
Well, the trainer is out on the field right now, and hopefully the Central Square player whose number is being blocked by the trainer is okay. You know, the last time these two teams played was June 3rd, 2021. The Red Rams took that one 16-6. Lily Lowenguth scored 4 goals. She's now gone on to play in college. Meanwhile, Peyton Webb and Milena Miller each scored 2 goals each for the Redhawks.
Yeah, and obviously not as competitive as this game here tonight, but Central Square, you can't forget they were a sectional semifinal team last year and in a class above Jamesville-DeWitt. So obviously they lost a couple of really important seniors, but this is a team that's been to that top and knows how to play in those big-time games.
This is also the 9th time that these two teams have ever met. JD has won all 8 prior meetings. The average score of those was 15-5, but of those 4 games at home, JD took them 14-3. And that is Milena Miller who is down, and that is a huge loss for the Redhawks as she is leading in scoring tonight for them with 3 of their 4 goals.
Well, I'm just thankful that she's able to walk away from that one, and obviously a tough blow. They're going to lose their leading scorer for at least maybe a little portion of tonight's game or more, but glad it turned out all right.
So we'll be underway in just a moment now as Miller, the sophomore, goes back to the bench. And, of course, she is just a sophomore, so she'll have plenty more opportunities to score in the future.
And that's wild, being one of their leading scorers as a freshman. to come back and be even better your sophomore year. Can only wonder where she's going to be in 2 years from now.
Same goes for Hannah Reichert, who is a freshman. Some good stick handling, but the shot doesn't pay off for Brooke Bort, and Danny Moran continues to just be unfathomable in goal.
Yeah, Brooke Bort was trying to go coast to coast on that play, but just came up just short right at the goal.
So Moran holding on to it now until her teammates set up to her liking.
Now she's getting some pressure here from the JD defense.
Well, why not? I mean, if you can push the goalie around, you've got an empty net right now.
And she was called for a checking there, but still, just kind of letting that goalie know that your presence is there, and if you leave that goal, we are not afraid to come at you.
An errant pass, resulting in a battle, and that is Wilcox who comes up with it.
Yeah, and the way she's been playing tonight, don't be surprised if she just takes this herself, but
JD goal.
I'll do you one better.
Macy Durkin with an assist from number 2, Kate Wilcox.
man, that was drawn up beautifully. Macy Durkin came off the top. Barkley was behind the goal and just saw her cutting over the top, perfect pass, and Durkin dropped it in the perfect spot.
That was a gorgeous goal by the Red Rams. Macy Durkin's first of her varsity career.
Yeah, and I was actually privileged enough to be able to watch this girl's scrimmage last week against CBA. They played really well there, and Macy Durkin had a couple of really good assists. And it just reminds me, she's so comfortable being in that type of a role, a facilitator role, like she is in basketball.
I was
just
just
being
about
able
to say.
just to be able to command that type of field and direct her teammates, and she sets everyone else up so well. But that time, it was her getting set up.
She is a natural point guard. She really is. But hey, even a point guard's got to score every once in a while.
Yep, and they'll get a check on JD, so that one goes back to Central Square. And now the whistles are flying. Wait a second, that's not how they work.
I was gonna say.
I'm thinking of penalty flags.
Yeah, you don't toss the whistles.
Oh, I mean, you could.
Yeah, but they'd be covered in grass and stuff. You wouldn't want to put those back in your mouth.
Probably wouldn't see those either too well.
No, they're very small, and they're not neon yellow.
Good point.
Imagine if you had penalty flags, though, that if you tossed them, they whistled as they went through the air.
That would make them a lot more easy. But in terms of lacrosse, you can keep playing after the penalty is thrown.
As demonstrated there with a Redhawks goal. No. I believe that was Hannah Reichert.
Central Square goal by number 1, Hannah Reichert.
Her second of the day.
Yeah, and a freshman again. So this Central Square team is just filled with youth. And they've really been holding their own tonight.
Absolutely, and a lot of promise in the coming years as well. This Central Square roster could shape up to be a real threat in the SEAC. Especially if they continue to play Class C teams like JD, considering they are in the same division.
Well, they're in the same division, but they're a class up, correct?
That's correct. But then again, Syracuse City is also Class A, but they're in the same division, so.
That's wild. You think they would group the same classes in the same leagues as well, just so that you're playing similar competition, but maybe it's the opposite.
Well, they generally do in most sports. It's just that I guess lacrosse is a bit of an exception, but for instance, the SEAC Empire, which is the league JD competes in, Central Square, Oswego, Fulton, they're all usually Class A schools. The notable addition being Fowler is also in there, but they're a Class AA team, but they usually compete at the A level. The SCAC Metro Conference, that's your Beeville, CNS, FM, West Jenny. Those are your bigger schools. So they do group them by size. It's just that lacrosse is the exception. And there's a stop for Lucy Kibe. Speaking of freshmen,
Yeah, she got to stop, but she's not out of the woods yet. Got to defend this 8-meter. Been really tough so far tonight.
and she does.
And you got to believe that's a really big confidence booster, especially for her being a freshman. You've given up a couple of those, but finally you're able to come up with a stop. It really gives you some more motivation and just grows your character and confidence as a goalie.
Yeah, how do you get out of the woods? You chop down a couple of trees.
That's right. And then piece by piece, you're out of it, but a long way to go.
Or you could build a house.
Could do that too, just set
Stay
up
in the
right,
woods.
right in the middle of the woods. I guess that's what the goalies do.
Yeah, I mean, what is a goal except a really poorly built log cabin?
But I was talking about this earlier. To be a freshman starting in a varsity sport like this, and not only that, but a varsity sport that's so successful, I don't think I would have been able to deal with that type of pressure or even be good enough to be put in that position. So credit to her, and just to be able to be in that position, regardless of how she plays, she's going to get so much better as this season goes on, and she's going to learn so much from these older teammates.
You're telling me you didn't make the track team as a freshman?
Well, I did, but that's a little bit different, right? Because that's individual events, and I was good at my own individual event. But to be good and better than other people that are older than you, and to be able to earn that spot, and not only that, a starting spot as well, that's a little bit different in my opinion.
Yeah, when I was a freshman, I barely made the JV baseball team. The team was understaffed. They actually considered cutting me.
Hey, but you still made it, though.
Yeah, just not in the yearbook.
Ah, they got you out of the picture, huh?
I literally played so little that I wasn't even in the yearbook. It doesn't even say not pictured Sam Gelfand. I'm just not even
Oh, wow,
mentioned.
they just threw you out completely.
They forgot I was on the team because I played so little.
And an interesting 8-meter strategy there. Macy Durkin really just kind of backing off and not going to charge that goal. Wants to set up more for offense.
Although it didn't work out there. Another stop by Moran. And that is completely true, by the way. That did actually happen with me and the JV team.
No, I believe you.
As Bob Euchre once famously said, most people's bats at the bottom say powerized on it. Mine said for display purposes only.
So you're just kind of like a figurehead on the team, you know?
I acted as bat boy quite a bit.
Oh, that's rough.
I mean, I had to do something to not just sit on the bench the
That's
entire
right,
game.
yeah.
So I was like, I might as well be useful.
Well, at least you found your calling with commentating. That way you
Yeah.
get to still be a part of the game, you know?
Yeah, and I get to share stories like this.
Exactly.
I got 3 at-bats that entire season. I struck out 3 times. Once on 4 pitches, though.
Hey, there you go. You pushed the count a little bit.
I fouled one off.
All right.
I mean, I was just swinging at everything because I got so few opportunities. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
I may as well, right? Just hope you go yard on one of them.
Yeah, honestly, that foul ball went like a good 250, 300 feet, so I could have. I was a slugger. I just couldn't make contact.
That is a tough position to be in.
It's like, you know, they say the old power hitter's folly is that you either hit a home run or strike out every time you get up to bat. I was much more towards the second one.
Yeah.
I get very fired up coming back to the dugout, you know, throw the helmet back down, and my teammates were like, Sam, don't worry about it. It's just one at bat. And I'm like, no, I got to bat. I'm excited.
So
I'm not upset.
You were the fiery type, I see.
Well, because when you get 3 at bats all season,
I guess so, yeah.
It's a cause for celebration to get an at bat.
Yeah. Oh, so you were throwing your helmet in celebration.
In celebration.
I see. Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I was coming back, I was yelling because I'm like, let's go.
Even though you struck out, you were still hyped.
Yeah, because they put me in.
I see. All right. It's the little things.
It's the little things. And speaking of little things, how about that defense from the Red Rams?
Well, nothing little about the Red Rams defense.
Well, maybe Lucy Kibe.
I guess, given that she's a freshman, yeah, but she's holding her own. And really impressive, really, from both of these goalies tonight. But I think we'll see her, especially Lucy Kibe, kind of develop as the season goes on and see her grow as a player.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing how this team does later on in the season.
Yeah, me as well. just given their last season success and how much experience they have, the loaded senior class that they have, trying to go out on one last hurrah. And not only that, but this year, the opportunity to go even further than sectionals. Last year, that was really the end of the road because you couldn't have a state-type tournament. But now you're playing for a little bit more.
And, of course, don't forget that JDTV is going to be bringing you a lot more action. Coming up just tomorrow is the baseball home opener. That's at 5 o'clock against Fulton. There's another stop by Moran. And that one should be very interesting, actually. I emailed Fulton's head coach before the game, as I often do, to try to get rosters and whatnot. And he said to me, our roster is going to look very different from what we're usually seeing because I'm losing 7 players to spring break tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Already on the Thursday.
Yep. He said, we're missing 7 players, and I'm going to have to fill in half this team with people from JV. So it's going to be a bit rough for Fulton, but on the other side of the scale, head coach Ryan Dira has 199 wins right now for JD, so tomorrow could be win number 200. So you are not going to want to miss that broadcast.
And you would hope that they'd be able to convert, especially with a slightly weaker Fulton-type team.
Of course, so that's going to be a good one tomorrow at 5 p.m. Do not miss it. Right here on JDTV. And then, of course, we've got more lacrosse and softball action coming up next week as well.
And I will say, I understand having a couple of meets or games within this spring break as Kate Wilcox.
JD goal by number 2, Kate Wilcox.
Just showing off at this point. What is that, goal number 5?
Number 5.
She's just making it look easy. Whatever she wants, she can just turn on the accelerators just like that and take your bar down.
Count them off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you got more goals than Ninja Turtles, that's when you know that you're having a performance.
Let me just say, I was talking about this earlier before I was just wowed. Why would you really schedule some of those games or meets right before spring break? You know a lot of people are traveling. I understand that you have to make a commitment to the sport, but at some point you put that traveling ahead of time. And especially for high school students, like, you're going to miss a lot of your team.
Well, you know, we've got games scheduled next week during spring break as well.
Yeah, I got a track meet on Tuesday.
Yeah, and of course, our athletic director, Mr. Goodson, loves to schedule them as early as possible, so we're having those games at 11 a.m. next week.
Well, hey, you don't want to get out of bed? You can just watch from home.
Yeah, that's true. That's the benefit of JDTV, but it means that I have to get out of bed.
Well, we do it all for the people, you know?
Yep, we put our bodies on the line, our sacrifices.
Getting up before 10 o'clock,
that is a sacrifice
that is a
for me.
sacrifice.
Risking life and limb for your enjoyment.
That's right. At least it'll be nice next week. That's one thing. I could deal with the early morning if it's nice weather, but
yeah, it's going to be raining tomorrow, so hopefully, you know, baseball plays rain or shine generally as long as the infield's in good shape. So hopefully it will be tomorrow.
Well, they play rain or shine probably in the pros, but with a high school field.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It depends on the condition of the infield.
Yeah.
It's coaches. The little life hack they use actually is kitty litter. They mix in a cat litter into the infield because it's moisture absorbent.
I see.
So
it just dries it up a little bit.
Yeah, so they'll dump out a lot of that with in case of a rain delay. And let me tell you, I had some coaches who went ham with the kitty litter.
We got to ask Coach Dara.
They would not cancel games no matter what. I had one coach who would make us sit there for 3 hours while he continually coated the infield trying to make it playable.
But then at some point, you're just playing on kitty litter, aren't you?
Yeah.
And then it smells, right?
Yeah. But the rain washes the smell away.
Is it really worth it, though?
Well, when I was sitting out there for 3 hours waiting for him to dump enough kitty litter into the infield that we could see whether or not we wanted to play, to me, no, that was not worth it.
Okay, fair enough. But now the Red Rams kind of setting up behind the cage. Taking one out of the boys' playbook here.
Also, I've never owned a cat, so I've never said the words kitty litter more in my life than I just did in the last 2 minutes.
I'm comfortable publicly stating that I'm team dog all the way.
Oh, me too. I mean, I understand the appeal of a cat.
Yeah, but there's just a companionship with a dog that is unmatched.
Yeah, you know, cats, they don't like you half the time. I just don't get it. Although, honestly, I was thinking about it the other day because, you know, I'm at the point where, like, once I get a little more settled, I could finally get a pet of my own. And I was thinking, you know what? I might go bird.
Really?
I'm considering it. I'm not sure.
Are we thinking like parrot-type bird? Or what?
Something small, something that isn't that loud.
Okay.
There are, believe it or not, there are some very cute pigeons out there which don't make a lot of noise.
I never even knew you could own a pigeon as a pet.
Oh, yeah, Mike Tyson did. And the Redhawks, speaking of birds, Danny Moran.
Yeah, she is soaring high right now, playing really excellent in that goal. And I'll say it again, she's one of the main reasons that this game is even closer than it could be.
100%. I'm going to have to show you pictures of pigeons after this game now.
But if this doesn't show you just how dominant the JD time of possession is, there's nobody even past the 40-yard line for the Red Rams. Everybody is on this side of the field, and they've just kind of been hanging out around there because they've held the ball for so long.
Yeah, right now Lucy Kibe could be picking daisies in the artificial turf.
May as well read a book while you're at it, you know?
What would you recommend, book-wise?
During the middle of a game?
Yeah.
I guess we're just trying to find something that distracts you as little as possible, or no?
Yeah, light reading, I guess.
Yeah, like a Cat in the Hat book or something.
Or you could get some articles down, you know, learn a
Yeah.
little bit about world affairs.
Yeah.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
JD goal by number 13, Lindsay Hildreth, with the assist by number 5, Campbell Endries.
Lindsay Hildreth with her second goal of the night.
And, you know, that's just what she does. She's so comfortable playing on that offensive side and sets up so well and just almost gets a jump into it and a beautiful shot in the top right corner. Just everyday business for her.
Hildreth now with goal number 2 after having 20 last season. And the Red Rams continue to grow this gap.
Yeah, I don't think they've given up a goal within this second half as well.
They gave up one.
Maybe one or two, but
one at the very start.
But their defense has really been stout. I'm curious to wonder what type of halftime adjustments Coach Murphy really suggested to her team, and obviously they've played out really well.
Well, it turns out that the best defense is a good offense because they haven't had to go on defense all that much.
That's a good point. I just talked about it too.
They've dominated the time of possession, and as long as you have that, you don't have to go on defense.
And that's why Lucy Kibe's got sweatpants on.
Well, she has sweatpants on because it's about 50 degrees outside.
Well, she's also not moving.
Yeah, exactly. We were saying that last game, you know, when you're a goalie, you get warmed up as a player by running. But goalies aren't going to be running, so they have to wear heavier stuff. And it looks like the Red Rams attempted a little roller, but it didn't work out. Picked up by Kessler.
But again, even when they miss a shot, they're able to get it right back. So,
and it's that dominant X play of the Red Rams.
Yeah.
In fact, Central Square doesn't have anyone stationed behind the goal. Just they're so focused about the attack coming from in front that they're completely neglecting the rear of the cage. And they have to worry about it with good reason.
Rebound goal by number 15, Kate Barkley.
Barkley makes it 13-5.
Well, that was a whole jumble of bodies within that center. I couldn't even tell who had the ball, but Barkley just making use of it and catching Moran off guard.
A lot of that coming also from the height of Barkley. She's 5'10" as well, and when it comes to that reach with the stick, that can really be to your advantage.
If she's 5'10", I wonder how tall Kessler is. She's got to be close to 6 feet, huh?
Yeah. 6 foot even, I've just been told.
So pretty rare that you have that type of size, even in lacrosse as well. You see that more type in basketball, but
yeah, where were they on the basketball team
exactly.
this season?
Well, Kessler was a JV player. She ended up getting pulled up, so.
Yeah, honestly, that was like the one thing that JD basketball didn't have this season was height.
And they still made it to the sectional final.
Yeah, lost to Bishop Ludden, unfortunately. Ludden was just so dominant this season.
I mean, they had some studs on their team.
Amara Strife, namely, who just committed to, I think it was Colgate?
Would not be surprised. But, man, we talk about just overall the winter season in general for Jamesville-DeWitt Athletics was a one to remember. We had the girls and boys track teams both sweep the sectional championships. We had the girls team make the girls basketball make the sectional final. We had the boys swim team win their sectional meet for the first time in a long time. Boys basketball made the sectional semifinals. Wrestling did really well. I think they were within the top 3 in their team. So just consistency among all sports. Cheerleading as well. Won a sectional championship. Good for them. Something that I don't think I've been able to witness while I've been at JD. So it's really just great to see the success all around the building and to be a part of that as well.
I guess Red Rams are indoor animals.
I mean, no, we're all types of animals.
All weather animals.
That's right.
Very rugged.
All terrain as well.
Well, I mean, they don't have wheels.
Well, what do the Rams have? Hooves. They can run anywhere.
Yeah. Including pretty much vertically. If you ever seen the pictures of like those goats climbing mountains.
Uh-huh. We can do anything.
Yeah. Anything except, I don't know, put together a coherent broadcast?
Oh, we're not that bad, huh?
No, not that bad.
You know, considering the amount of square footage we have right now as we're talking.
Yeah, I mean,
and how
what
many
are we dealing
people
with?
we've
maybe 10, 15?
Yeah, and how many people we've condensed within this space, I'd say we're doing pretty well.
Yeah, we have 3 people cluttered in this press box right now, that being, of course, myself, Sam Gelfand, Nick DeCaney, and Tyler Aitken, holding it down here for JDTV. Back in the game and scoring again is Milena Miller.
Central square goal by number 10, Milena Miller.
I'm glad to see her up and on her feet and immediately making an impact. They certainly missed her, and probably a big reason why they had that offensive drought.
And now for Miller, that's 3 games, 11 goals. I mean, you're averaging 3-4 goals a game for your team. That is so productive.
Not only that, but as a sophomore as well.
True. Just over 5 minutes remain in this one. And we thank each and every one of you at home for sticking with us through the entire thing.
And if we were keeping track, I would say Kate Barkley is probably, maybe 9-2 on these draws?
Honestly,
and of course, the announcer jinx right there.
Well, honestly, I was trying to keep track, and I lost a few, so I'm just not even going to show it.
But nonetheless, very efficient tonight.
The last I checked, it was 9-6 in favor of JD.
Okay.
But that was quite a while ago.
And what we haven't talked about either, oh my goodness.
What a... Lucy Kipe with an impeccable pass.
Defense has turned into instant offense as here comes Lauren Parker crashing down.
Parker weaving through and forced out.
And you know, as a defender, she was probably licking her chops looking at that goal thinking, oh, hey, I got a real opportunity to score here.
Oh, 100%. You know, maybe the most unique thing about the Red Rams boys team last season was for the first time that I have ever seen, every single player on the roster had at least 1 point. Ben Skellinger was the only player who didn't have a goal, and he still had an assist.
I was just going to say.
He still had an assist, so it counts as a point, just not a goal.
I see.
So every single player had 1 point on the season.
Wow.
I have never seen that ever. And, of course, Skellinger a long poleman, so they are least likely to score, although if you remember anything from last year, Zach Tiffany had an incredible behind-the-back goal. And how about another for Wilcox?
And there's just no reaction anymore. It's just like, what else did you expect, really?
Whatever. 6 goals now.
But, that's what she's expected to do, especially as a senior leader on this team, committed to Winthrop, to play lacrosse. You see just why.
And now Wilcox has as many goals as good Star Wars movies. Actually, that's not true. I enjoyed 7 and 8.
Okay, yeah, all right.
I'm trying to think what else has
No
6.
Star Wars slander here.
More goals than Infinity Stones?
Is that 6?
I think there's
6
5.
too?
I think there's 5. What is 6?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's 5. I think it's 5.
There is 6? All right.
Okay, so she does not have them. She needs one
She
more.
has as many as
As many
Infinity
rings
Stones.
as the GOAT basketball player, in my opinion, Michael Jordan.
I would concur with that statement, actually.
Who do you think then?
No, I would concur,
Oh,
as
sorry.
in I agree, Michael Jordan.
I see.
No, I'm not going to be like LeBron. No, and MJ all the way.
Well, man, we could have a whole discussion on this, but we should just start a podcast at this rate.
Yeah, I mean, well, JD is leading 14-6, so this is our opportunity to, pretty much.
I guess so. Yeah, when you look at if we're talking overall greatness, I think it's Michael Jordan, and that's what I define as a GOAT, right?
I agree, because the thing is like, obviously he's up there with statistics, but I think that when you're talking greatest of all time, you have to talk about more than just statistics. You have to talk about impact on things like popular culture.
Absolutely, and he is the biggest name in basketball history. He transcended the game. He made it global.
Exactly, and as much of an impact as LeBron has had, he has not had as much of a cultural impact, I would say, as Michael Jordan did.
And obviously he does amazing things. He started a school, for crying out loud. But
yeah, I mean, this is not LeBron slander.
No,
this
absolutely not.
This is Jordan praise.
That's right. But just to be able to go 6 times to the finals, win 6 times, 6 MVPs, it's just really hard to argue against that, because that's greatness at the highest level every single time he was asked.
And a lot of people make fun of MJ's short-lived baseball career as well, but the way I like to think about it, he batted, I think it was .218 in Double-A, in a sport he hadn't played since high school. He tried out for the team. He's a good enough athlete that he can take a completely different sport he hasn't looked at in like 15 years and still hit above the Mendoza line, even though it was at the Double-A level. I mean, I think that that's a success.
Yeah, I think he does get a little – he deserves a little more credit than he is given. But you also look at, like, some athletes, like I was talking about this earlier today, Usain Bolt, right? He retired, and then also we have a goalie substitution coming in here for the Red Rams. But Usain Bolt tried to play Australian soccer. Did not work too well for him. He wasn't as good of an athlete to be able to transcend. And especially going from basketball to baseball, they're two such drastically different sports.
Or Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Before he went to UFC, after his tenure with the WWE, he actually tried out for the Minnesota Vikings, had 1 tackle in the preseason.
That's right. I've seen that clip of him. So,
and he was actually offered a contract to play in NFL Europe, but he declined. He decided against it because he didn't want to move and decided to go to UFC instead of pursuing football. But once again, he hadn't played football since high school.
And not only that, he won a belt in UFC, did he not?
UFC heavyweight champion 2 times.
Like, that's crazy.
I mean, Brock Lesnar is like, he's not a human being. He's a force of nature.
No, yeah, he's just made in a lab.
The apex predator of humankind.
Correct.
As there's now 1 minute remaining in this game.
If we got to send one person to, like, go talk to the Martians or something like that,
yeah, Brock Lesnar.
He's got to be on that list of, like...
If they're like, give us your best fighter...
Oh, absolutely.
The apex of humanity. I'm sending Lesnar out there 10 times.
But if you're talking like they wanna make peace, who's in terms of best negotiator? Who are we sending out?
Yeah, I mean, you can't get into that without getting political.
I suppose so, but you could go like a celebrity, like you go Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, or like,
how can you hear his voice and not be soothed and be like, okay, maybe he's got a point.
The safe bet would be like the Secretary General of the United Nations.
Yeah. But I don't know who that is, so I'm more inclined to go with someone like Morgan Freeman.
Used to be Ban Ki-moon. I forget who the new one is. Antonio Gutierrez, might be? I don't know. Well, the clock is stopped at 20 seconds.
Yeah, and it's safe to say that JD has taken care of business here tonight in a really strong home opener for them.
Central Square goal by number 1, Tanner Reichert.
But, of course, Reichert couldn't go home without one more goal, at least.
A hat trick for her, challenging the substituted goalie, Kayla Mashi.
And she's only a sophomore as well. So no upperclassmen goalies for this girls' team.
But still, the Red Rams leading 14-7 with 19 seconds on the clock.
But yeah, like I said, they took care of business here tonight. They played exceptional defense.
Ignore that for now.
And of course, their offensive attack was in surplus tonight. And I think they got a lot of things. Obviously, a couple things you could tune up with. Talk about the 8-meter shots. Maybe a little more efficient on those. But I would assume that this team is very happy with the way they started things here tonight.
This is a great omen for the rest of the season.
And you look on the Central Square side as well. They're able to put up a pretty competitive matchup. You know, lost your top scorer there for most of the second half. But this game was within 5 for the majority of the first half as well going into that second. So they only fall to 2-1. They got a lot more season left to play and use this as a building block going into those more competitive type games.
And Central Square, you know, still did look very good in this one. Some excellent goalie performances by Danny Moran. 4 goals from Elena Miller, 3 for Hannah Reichert. They didn't pick up the victory, but after an impressive performance here in the first 2 wins of the season, they have to be looking positively towards the future.
And no other way to look at it, especially with this much time left to grow as a team and as a player individually. So both of these teams got a lot left in the tank, and I'm really excited to see how this season is going to play out.
So thank you very much for joining us here live on JDTV. My name is Sam Gelfand, the voice of the Red Rams, alongside my broadcast partner, Nick DeCaney, our cameraman, Tyler Aiken, and all of us here from the Jamesville-DeWitt High School in DeWitt, New York. Have a very good night wherever you may be.